the notion of assertiveness is when you feel that space, you're in that space, that's being assertive. Rather than trying to define it in a positive way, you define it by feeling when something is happening to that space or when you're outside of that space. Outside of that space, we have three basic behaviors. I'm not saying that, again, these are bad people, it's just what happens when we are taken out of our space and we try to function in a positive, functional way. The first one, you see, there's no order really, no? Is aggressive. And it makes some sense actually to be aggressive when you feel that you don't have access, you don't know how to be assertive anymore. Because maybe education tells us, don't be assertive, you know, that kind of stuff. Because you occupy too much space, right? And then some people, in order to protect themselves, what they do, since they cannot go back here, they become aggressive. And they're aggressive because, in a way, that's a very nice way to protect one's space, except it's not legitimate, doesn't work, and it's painful for everybody. Aggressive people, this type of people, you see them when, you know, in a class like this, when they come into the room, you know it right away. Because they make a lot of noise, they take a lot of space, they really want to occupy the space, because if they don't, it doesn't work for them anymore. Actually, and that's also when it is nice to know who is speaking. Here I make reference to what I was talking about with the listening part, you know, who is that guy, you know, which room, what color is his room. Those people, they're speaking from a room where everything is red and bites, basically. And what they have here, those people also, is behind that cloud of smoke and all those explosions and so on, there is, and maybe you can think of some people you've met, you know, you ran across, but there's just a little boy or a little girl, you know, wearing a short skirt, short pants, you know, afraid to be found. So rather than being found, they occupy the space and they make a lot of noise. And when, of course, how do you deal with those guys? You're not going to say, oh, I know you're the aggressive type, so you must be a little boy or a little scared girl. You know, you don't do that because they don't like that either. Because they're, you know, it becomes a game for them to go all the way. So aggressive people, you don't play with them like that, okay? But what is important is for them, for you to know who's talking behind that. Because it can be really scary, it can be spectacular, but really behind it there's nothing much. And we often see it in some places in society or in management where you see a lot of people that are famous for being aggressive, and it's touted as a quality, but actually it's a deficiency. But this deficiency allowed them to get there because they used it in that respect. You see how that works. It can be very twisted, okay? We will look at how to deal with those guys afterwards. And then there are some people, the second type is not like this really. It's kind of the opposite. It's the passive type. Passive people, this is horrible for them, but they don't have the guts to be aggressive, so they play the other end. You know, I'm a poor little thing. Please don't hit me, don't beat me, you know, don't eat me. And this is connected to stress also, okay? Which is, here you have fight reaction in stress, and here you have flight reaction. So those two put together make for a nice mix in terms of stress management. But here, passive types, really, what they're telling you is, I'm in the cellar. They say, oh, this is happening, it's for me again, you know. Yes, that's the story of my life, this is how things end up on me, and so on. You meet people like this, people that are negative, huh? I think you mentioned one this morning, you know. Okay, so you have some people that are like this, and people that are pulled out of the tube, okay, they also end up in those spaces. Because if you look at the tube, you know, from this perspective, behaviorally, as long as you're in there, I mean, give or take, you know, some shaking, okay, but you're fine. when you move out too far, you're not fine anymore. And here, when you do this, when you look at this cross section of the tube, this is when you get the assertiveness. Assertiveness is being able to function from within there. Okay? So, of course, it's interesting to learn and step outside of the tube, but when the going gets a little tough, make sure that you're not there. It could be anywhere in here, but there, because otherwise you end up here. Okay? And those people are, again, the people that tell you, I'm in the cellar, come and sit with me, see how dark it is, we'll have a great time. Okay? And then you have the third type, which is the most toxic one actually because it's a mix of the two, is passive aggressive. And you could say also that those people are, sometimes they're called manipulative people, manipulators. I don't want to get too far into the description of that, but those people are very interesting because they want to be like this, but for them it's easier to be like that. So they're kind of in between, and they try to play with both. So their aggression is always going to be at a moment where they know that they cannot be hurt, but you can. And they become passive whenever they feel that they can be hurt, but you cannot. You see the opposite stuff. So people, they come, they walk by you and they say, oh yes, only you could write this report, yes, somebody like you, yes, can see. And then they walk away, and then you're typing your things, what's going on with you, And then you call the person, you say, what? And the person says, nothing. I didn't say anything. Okay? And so they have all those games where they actually can do some kind of hit and run all the time. Sometimes it's in front of you, like I just did. Okay? It's just an example, huh? Or it could be behind you, in the back. It could be in many, many ways. And it's not necessarily directed at you. It's just that's the way they do it. Okay? Because this is not a good space also for those people. And you will also see some passive-aggressive behaviors in some occasions, in some people. Sometimes it's just for 5 minutes, like I said, but sometimes some people just live there.
Sorry, how to react with such people?
Okay, so now we're going to that. Aggressive people, you don't confront them, but you must be very clear in your head about the limits. Okay? I'm going to cover them all.
About your limits?
Your limits. You cannot speak loudly to me. That's it. And just go away. You don't want to stay in an exchange, in a communication where the person is going over the limits. There is no excuse for that. Because sometimes they can be also manipulative in a way, aggressive people, because they say next time, I like you very much, I'm sorry,
Yes.
Sometimes it happens to me, but I don't control myself, but I like you very much, so like me. You bet, no way. It doesn't work. You cannot allow this to happen. For whatever reason, could it be a minister, a president, I don't care. There is no excuse on a human level to behave that way. So you must be very much aware of the limits. When the limits are overpassed, then you stop. Stop the conversation. You don't have to do anything about it. It's not your responsibility. Okay? They go outside of the tube. It's not your problem. Just go. Okay? And you will see that there is more to that. Then there's the passive people. Passive people, like I said, we talked about it this morning, they're very happy to take you in the hall with them. So don't lean over too much. That's what we talked about that this morning. Don't lean over too much, just say, okay, I see, you have this problem and this difficulty. Those people actually, you can help them by giving them some simple stuff to do. Don't think that they're stupid or they're totally unable to do anything. But don't fall in the negative image they want to give them themselves, because that's what feeds them. Okay? So we will see that again in a second. Those people, actually, and I'm just giving you very simple behavioral tricks. In the next 5 minutes, I will go a little further into that. those people here, they want to play. They need to play. I mean, all those people need to play with someone. And those people, you want to make sure that they don't want to play with you anymore. There is no point in trying to threaten them, because then they will happily play the victim. There is no point in trying to reason them, because they will wiggle out their way out of there. What you do is you make sure that they understand that they know that you know, kind of thing. So, the person who comes next to you and goes, oh yes, only you could write this report, yes, of course. So badly written. And then you say, okay, what happened, Same thing, And then the person says, I didn't say nothing. Okay, there's a little trick here. But sometimes it's nice for you to make people repeat what you just said 3 times. Why 3 times? Because the first time, they don't care. They just do it automatically. The second time, because they have to have the gut to say it. And the third time, because by now, they realize what they're just saying. Usually, you don't care about the exactitude of what they're going to say, but if you do this 2-3 times, this game where they want to be able to hurt you without them being hurt becomes more iffy. They're not so sure that they can still do it, because apparently you put them in a situation where they can be hurt, therefore they want to go and play somewhere else. Don't worry, they find somebody else. Okay?
So challenge.
Sorry?
Challenge.
So?
Challenge them.
Just, make sure that they are aware of their behavior. What did you just do? What did you just say? Make sure that they know. But you don't challenge them. You don't go like, what is it that you mean or something like that. Just, what did you say? It's just like making them reinforce that thing. Because what allows them to survive is like to be totally uncatchable. If you start saying, okay, just say again, you see the difference. It's about you being curious about what just happened, not you trying to corner them. Because if you corner them, they're going to be the victim, and then they can play with you. Appeasing is good for a child who hurt his leg or something like this, but not for a grown-up. Change mode. Somebody sends you an aggressive email, don't reply to the email, but give the person a phone call. And he says, okay, what did you mean by this email? When you send me this kind of email, and I sense that you're angry, I don't know what to do with you. I want to understand, what should I do? What should you do? What's going on with our relationship, whatever. It's not about you putting yourself in their service of an angry person. You don't want to do that either. See what I mean? But you change mode, you change the mode of communication. You go face to face, you go telephone, you go whatever. You don't stay on the same channel, never. When the communication is going crazy, you don't stay on the same channel. Okay, all of those people, actually, they're playing a game where here, the great thing about being assertive, you can play a good game, which is I'm okay, you're okay. Whatever happens, we can be in a conflict, we can be in a crisis, we can be in whatever you want, as horrible as you want, but I'm okay, you're okay. I'm a good person, you're a good person. I'm an okay person, you're an okay person. Okay? And then you have the people like here, the passive people, okay? Well, they're not okay, but the other people are okay. And of course you don't want to play that game. Then you have the aggressive people who say, I'm okay, but you guys are not. I'm going to crush you for that. And then you have the rest of the people, those, so maybe some of the passive aggressive, where nobody's okay. I'm not okay, but you're not either. Serves you right. Okay? So this you want to make sure that whatever happens, when I say you leave the room, because I'm okay, you're okay, but I don't want to have this conversation, so I'm not staying here with this kind of noise when people talk to me like this. You maintain your integrity. This is very good for you, it's good for the organization. And really you do it, it's very easy to do it. Much easier than we think. Ça va? Okay. Now, one more thing about that. This is what we're talking about here is transactional analysis. I mentioned it briefly this morning. But inside of us, we're three little people called state of the self. A child, because we've all been children. An adult, because we see grown-ups and we see people, we see firemen, we see people working in project mode. And the parent, because we all had parents one way or another, even if we were not brought up by our parents. So the child, what does that do?
I want sword, I want a sword.
Yes.
Yeah.
That's a way for them to get a message through. Okay. That's what children do. Adults, what do they do? Okay, I said the firemen, pilots, project mode. This is the ideal place is the workplace. People should be spending most of their time in adult mode in the workplace because that's how the work gets done. Then you have the parent. Parent is great. Parent is great because they grow us up. They grow children. So they have the ability to do a lot of things. And one of them is to manage time. In other words, when they give orders, they maintain discipline. It's for time's sake. We're talking about effectiveness here. Okay, efficiency. Imagine you're cooking, all right, something in the kitchen, and you have something in the oven. It's very hot, and then you see your 4-year-old child running towards the oven, hands outstretched like this. From a child position, you would say, wow, man, it's gonna hurt so much, From an adult mode, I'm just taking it to the extreme. You say, taking into account your speed of movement and the temperature of the oven, you should make contact in so many seconds and we will be burned to such and such degree. The parent would just say, stop! Because that's what parents do. They grow children, so they preserve them from bad stuff happening. And they support the fact that they keep saying, I want to swear, I want to swear. So, children, parents, and adults are great people, and they also have their limits. Because children can be seductive. Now that I put away all my things, can I go take my Friday afternoon off, and that kind of stuff? The adult also has some limits because you cannot take an adult, I don't know, to a discotheque on a Saturday night, He's the guy at the end of the bar and you're seeing his drink and not speaking to anybody. It's not fun at all, okay? So there are some places and some times where you can use any of them, but there are some places and some times where you shouldn't. And the parent can be also too protective, which means like, are you sure you got enough cookies on your table? You want me to change your glasses? You're okay? You're really all right? You're not cold, huh? You're sure? Okay. That kind of stuff. Or just the other way around, this is so disorganized. How can you stand working in such a messy place? Okay. And so those people actually have limits. What matters here is that as long as the interaction is on the same level, children speaking to children, so much fun. Adults speaking to adults. It's so interesting. Parents talking to parents, you talk about the weather, the strikes, Donald Trump, whatever, they talk about things, okay? It's good. At home, parents talking to children and children talking to parents is part of the growing up process. Once you start leaving home, parents talking to children is not good. So you have some people who will play the normative parent. You shouldn't be sitting like this. Okay? And then people say, really? What's going on? And then you start having this parent-child thing that creates. You have this here, you have this here. Or you have the child, submissive, seductive, hurt, whatever, who's saying, I'm stuck, I need your help, can you help me because I don't know how to deal with this fight, that kind of stuff, And then you come and you become the parent. But really, what you need to have is a horizontal relationship, not a diagonal relationship. The moment you start having this diagonal relationship, you're taken out of that spot. It's like playing baseball, And then you end up on other bases, which are not yours. not they're supposed to be there, but people take you there. And then those people, how do you deal with them? Because then they force you to be either not okay, or they make you responsible for them being not okay. You know, all those stuff, all those combinations are possible, and it makes it much harder for you to stay there. Now, if you want to get your work done, at some point you need to be able to ask questions about what's the purpose of what we're doing. And then some people here may take either of those stances because they don't know how to answer to you. And when they don't know how to answer to you, they're going to play this game. Now, what do you do the moment you know they are interacting with that person? Because now I'm going a little further into this, is you make sure that you realize that the only position to be here at work is the adult position. So it's like playing tennis. You play cross court, you know, and forehand, you know, it's really nice and so on and so on. And the other person on the other hand is playing this game. And then you say, oh my God, you know, I'm playing with that. So you say, I don't want to play. So you put your racket down, you don't have to give any explanations, you know, and you just go. And you go back to the adult mode, which is, we got some work to do. Because that's what you get paid at the end of the month for, okay? It's for the work you do. It's not for being a parent or a child in the workplace. It's okay to be creative, it's okay the horizontal stuff, but not the diagonal stuff. So those people here, of course, they don't like it. And they can play it many different ways. They can say, what's wrong with you? You don't like playing with me anymore? Okay, then they make you feel bad because you are supposed to be playing and you left the field. Or they can do it the other way. What's wrong with you? You don't like playing with me anymore. I'm not good enough for you. And then, of course, you know, they make you feel guilty again, you know, because you're treating them bad. And so what do you do then? You say, okay, just a few more hits, you know, and then that's it, on you go again. What happens is that those people, it's called, this is all based on transaction analysis, which is a beautiful way to approach relationship among people, especially including in the workplace and elsewhere. But it allows you here to move to another place where you can actually see what's going on and stop playing the game. And those people, they need to play games. There's actually, it's in the manual, there's this little book called Games People Play. There's like 40 games or something, you know, where you have all those people that play. It's really interesting. It's like 10 pages each game, you know. It tells you about the protagonist and the payoff and so on, who wins the game and how do you win and so on. Sometimes people win by being sad or by hurting themselves. I'm saying this because in an organization, we see more and more people that are becoming dysfunctional because the organization sometimes in some areas are very dysfunctional themselves. Okay? So it's better to be equipped earlier than later. And just to finish, those people, they will want you to play and they will put pressure on you. Keep being aggressive, even more aggressive, or keep being more passive or whatever. Passive aggressive, whatever, until they hope you break. But if you hang on, like for dear life, it's like a life raft to the adult mode. We are doing the work. So you don't need to contradict them or anything, you just focus on the work. You can give feedback on the work too. Then, at some point, they will go and play elsewhere. This is really where, you know, if you don't give them this energy, this mental energy, this communication energy, they need it so much because they're not there and they cannot refuel. I mean, the energy they get here is not good energy. They cannot refuel on you, so they go on somewhere else. It's mechanical. You just need to be patient. Few weeks, rarely more, maybe a month. But you need to focus. You don't need to avoid them because sometimes they work at the same table.
Just ignore them.
Not even, they're okay, so you cannot pretend that they're not there. I'm saying, okay, they're there.
Don't focus on what they say.
Yeah, you focus on getting the work done with them, if it has to be done with them, or without them. If their behavior goes beyond the limits, you just leave. Don't stay there. Say, I'm sorry, I cannot accept this kind of behavior. You just leave. Leave the room. And you know, the telephones and computers can fly. It's not your problem. You're not supposed to be the victim of this kind of behavior. No, never. So aggressive people, that's the first thing. Whenever they go beyond the limits, just leave. Unless you're good with your fists.